And action.
Action.
All right, so we are live in not Waco, Texas. This is, do you call us Waco?
It's Woodway, but Waco, yeah.
Listen, no one's driving
Just
here.
outside
All right. In an undisclosed location in Texas, we are live in Ty's studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
excited.
nobody knows.
Right.
Can't know.
So I had a reason to kind of be in the area, and we decided, why not? Let's hang out. Let's get an episode or two in the can. It's always fun if we can do this in person.
Yeah.
We've only done this one time in Montana.
Yep. And it's always fun to have studio visits.
Absolutely.
Always.
Yeah, I'm still going to be a little distracted by looking at a lot of the work we already talked about last night. But so we just figured, since we're going to be in the same place, let's talk about just kind of what's top of mind for us. What are we thinking about in the studio? What different ideas are we bringing to work? And just kind of some more present and current ideas that we've been wrestling with and kind of working through. So we both kind of have a little list going. We definitely will not get to all of them.
No.
There's probably 8 episodes in this world.
Maybe 10. Yeah, maybe 10. That's the problem. Hey, let's put together some notes on things we should talk about. And then we both get over eager. And all of a sudden there's like 4 pages of ideas. But I guess that's good.
It's good. I mean, we'll get to them at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe, or not, you know. Why don't you kick us off, Ty? We're going to kind of go ping pong style back and forth. But what's the first thing that you wanted to kind of get into today? And what have you been thinking about, buddy?
Yeah, as we were preparing, I was really going through everything that's been in my head, right? For the last, I guess, since the end of last year. We're looking at new ideas and trying to figure out new exploration and discovering new things, and where I felt not the work currently, but where the future work, right, was telling me to go, to chase and go after. So as I've been working since the end of last year on ideas and really keeping them pretty close to the chest, other than sharing with a few select people in my network of artists, I've really kept it to me. So then I kept having this idea, as I'm always reading and studying other artists, when do you know you have a breakthrough? Like, when is breakthrough an actual breakthrough? Because I've had multiple times over the last year where I thought I was turning that page, and then all of a sudden I would text you and go, I just took 10 steps back.
Right.
I'm fighting. I think we talked about it last week where I told you I was fighting.
Yeah.
Well, this is constantly over the last year. It's been this process of, I think I'm turning the page, but then all of a sudden I go, no. Why did I think to go that way? Okay, no, let's revert back, right? And as we were looking through 30 pieces last night in new work, right, I'm able to go, that was the starting point, right here. And then what it led me to is so far away from this, but I had to start this in order to get to there. And I feel like I just had the breakthrough. I really am confident that a breakthrough is starting.
I think that's one of the things that we should probably discuss. You reference it briefly, but like, you know, very rarely do breakthroughs happen without some breakdowns.
Yeah.
At least one, if not multiple, preceding them, you know? So talk more about like, what do you do in general? How do you talk to yourself? What do you remind yourself of when you feel like it's just breakdown after breakdown?
Yeah. And I'm going to be vague a bit too, because I haven't put the work out, which we'll talk about later today too. I'm still holding the work back from really showing it, other than little snippets here and there of close-up stuff. But the challenge is when you're on the long journey, when you're on that course, just staying really patient through time, which we've talked about in the past, because you think something's going to happen and you feel it going, but you're still in a process of learning. You have not learned yet. You are currently learning.
Right.
In learning, you realize either I didn't understand what I fully thought I understand it at one point, or these things aren't working the way my mind thought they would work tangibly, material-wise.
Right.
They're not doing what my mind thought they would do. I have to work through all that and screw it up and mess it up and paint over to figure out how those relationships will start to take shape and work together.
Yep.
And I think that's taken me since last October.
Yeah.
Really. So we're coming pretty close to a full year of that.
Yep.
And not showing any of it to anybody, which is also scary and fear. And it's a lot of waiting. I'm, but Does that answer the question at all?
Yeah,
That
kind of.
touch
I mean, I
on-
think where I was going with that is, you know, I think it's important for, I mean, it's great for anybody to hear that somebody who's been doing this as long as you have, who's, you know, you've had quite a bit of success in the art space, that every time you work through a new idea, that you are thinking about, that you're developing a new body of work, that you go through a version of this.
every time.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's been some in the past that the idea after a year's worth of work was completely scrapped and then takes a total new turn to something completely different
Yeah.
that looks nothing like it did
Yeah.
that entire last year.
You said something interesting. I'd like to talk more about this idea of it started here, and I see where it's evolved too, and other people will, you know, soon enough. But I guess just kind of unpack that idea a little bit more, you know. So how do you keep from getting sort of anchored to the original idea, or trying to sort of honor the original idea versus letting it develop the way that it decides it wants to evolve?
Well, I think that's going to be different for every artist,
I'm asking you.
right?
Yeah.
So for me, because my work is so story based,
Yeah.
the idea isn't in the actual work, so to speak. It's that idea of the story behind the work.
Right.
So I'm doing everything I can to stay as true to the idea of the story I want to tell through the work,
Yep.
which, as you can see, has taken many different turns, but I'm keeping as much as I can that essence of my purpose for that body of work wrapped up within each piece.
Right.
Which I think also gives me a freedom for that work to change drastically within a body. For piece 1 to be so different than piece 38 I'm on now, or 40 of that body of work.
Right.
They're drastically different.
Yeah.
But I think as we were talking last night, you were asking me some questions about like, oh, are the lines still there? And like, yeah, they're here. I just painted over them.
Yeah.
But trying to keep that original essence of that nostalgic moment that spurred on the idea as a part of it.
Yep. Honoring the original story, and the through line will go where it goes from there.
Yeah, I think, I know we're going to talk about this too with you, but we used the word alchemy last week. You talked about it. And there is alchemy in that too.
Yeah.
Because you're taking that idea of something and you're trying to manipulate it right into something. What can these things do, right? The alchemist, oh, well, what, we put these two things together, what will this do? Can we refine this more? Can we? So that divine spark, that first little thing, the idea of, oh, what if we still keeping the initial thing, but then it could take hundreds or thousands of different variations within that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I have a question for you with that too, because I know there's a lot of new things, and I'm sure we're both going to be pretty vague in some things right now because we're working out a lot of ideas. We want to wait until we're fully confident before we really, really throw them out there to the world and to the audience.
You might be fully confident. I'm just going to go for mostly confident.
Okay, mostly
if I can get to mostly confident.
Mostly confident. No, but that we'll talk about that later too. But thinking about breakthroughs and thinking about just that whole idea, how is that represented in your head as you're moving through material to new material and new ways to manipulate those materials? And, you know, I've seen you have breakthroughs from original ideas to where you are now. Like I've seen major breakthroughs, and it's been really fun to watch. Like, how does that play in your head, especially thinking about exploration and discovery within all that?
Yeah, I think, and that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, is just the benefits of having a methodical approach. So I think about early on, it was all just sort of, you know, unbridled experimentation without any real, you know, plan or sort of system around how I was approaching. And that's exactly what I needed to be doing, you know, during that time. And I think as I've begun to mature, you know, as an artist, it's really, you know, I spend a lot more time thinking about that idea of like, all right, when is it time to explore and when is it time to exploit? And this is an idea I've been reading about in this book that I've referenced a couple times on the previous pods, but this book called The Explorer's Gene by Alex Hutchinson. And he talks about this. I'm actually going to read about it. The explorer exploit dilemma. So he defines it as, so exploration encompasses search, variation, risk-taking, experimentation, play, flexibility, discovery, innovation. This book isn't written for artists, but it could be.
Yeah.
Okay. Exploitation encompasses refinement, choice, production, efficiency, selection, implementation, and execution. He goes on to write, you can exploit the knowledge and resources you already have, or you can explore in search of an outcome that is uncertain but might turn out to be better.
Yep.
And so I like to read, obviously mostly in the art space now, but I'm always, as we do as artists, kind of making these connections between whatever we're absorbing and how it's going to play out in the work. So this idea of what I've been working towards is I'm exploring the unknown while exploiting the known.
Yep.
Which is what we're doing always.
Yeah, alchemy.
100%. Yeah. And the way that I've been approaching that is much more systematic than ever before in terms of just like, I believe that like SOPs, just a standard operating procedure. Here is how I approach this. That equals to me accelerated and intentional growth. Because in the absence of a system to sort of collect these ideas that I have, and I don't know about, I think I can safely say you fall in this camp as well. Like, if all I did was execute on the ideas that I have in journals, in my head, in different documents, it would take me 10 more lifetimes.
Yep.
And that's assuming that nothing new
pops up in there, which it does.
The first, day we're trying to, So that's kind of the beautiful thing about it. But I think for me, it's like, if I can have a system in place, if I can create and follow these sort of rules basically, and then iterate as needed, right? So one of the things I've been much more intentional about is how do I sort of gather the ideas that flow through the antenna. And one of the things I've started doing recently, instead of, I still journal as well, but I'm such an external processor in how I sort of like just work through information. I started using voice memos, and that became a really good way for me to also emotionally decompress on the drive home from the studio. Yeah. Your commute is about 17 steps. Yeah. I've got about a 13-minute drive, from the studio back to the house. And so just hitting record. And as I listen back to some of those, a lot of them were just, me pump my, hey, good day. Here's what we got done. You know what I mean? Just like trying to feel good about, having accomplished something, but also doing like studio walkthroughs of like all my babies that are, all the 7, or in my case, whatever, 17 or 27 crying babies that are all distributed about, and just kind of like, okay, hey, ooh, this could go with that. This could, and just walking and talking. And then from there, taking those brain dumps and turning them into, categorizing them into, okay, is this specifically referencing work in progress? Is this sort of just a new idea or a new vein? Yeah. Is this a new process or experiment that I need to try? Is this a task-driven, to-do list? But it's sort of like making sense of the mess that is otherwise, my mind, and then converting it into, digital document that will either go into my sort of master new body of work document, and then the tasks and to-dos get transferred into sheets. This is just my system. Yeah. This is not like, hey, do this, but it's just what works for me. And so with like the master document, especially with this new body of work, I've got declarations, decisions I've made, descriptions, process, experiments, tests needed, new skills that I need to acquire. I'm taking a welding course right now because I need to learn how to weld to do what I want to do with sculpture, and then figuring out what tools do I need to buy and how much work do I need to sell to be able to
do that,
invest in this entirely new setup. But it's all based around that idea of like, all right, I want to exploit what I know. Back to that definition of, I want to refine, choose, produce, be efficient, select, implement, and execute based on the known, while still searching, variation, risk-taking, experimentation, play, like both of those things, And I found that if I'm too rigid with, hey, this is the plan, to your point about like, this is the original idea, I just want to see this through. If I'm too rigid with that, then I'm not leaving space, to follow the beautiful little tributaries off the river and see where they might lead. If I'm too flexible, then we can completely lose sight of the original, plan or idea, and lose sight of the essence, of its origin. So I think for me, it's been just kind of really finding that balance between those two things.
I wonder, and I think I started really thinking about this because of all the books that I'm reading about artists from the past, right? And those breakthrough moments. So, you know, they go from something that they've been doing for years, and then all of a sudden it's like that aha moment, you know, and reading about Ellsworth Kelly having his moments like that, and reading about Sam Francis and Joe Mitchell and all these artists like that I adore having those moments. I've tried to make that be in my foreconscious way more. That idea of,
What does that look like?
I think it's just that expectation, having an expectation that breakthrough will come with time.
Yeah.
Rather than years ago, I just make work and really get frustrated when things aren't working the way I want them to, and things aren't turning out the way I would like, and being embarrassed or, you know, about, oh, what, this looks like shit. Where am I going? Instead, I'm going, no, this is leading to a breakthrough. All the shitty work, all the stuff that gets covered up, all the stuff that never leaves the studio, all the stuff that didn't sell, like that's leading to the breakthrough.
Right.
If I didn't make it, then I'm really far away from the possibility of a major breakthrough. What does that look like? I don't know. I don't know. I think I've had little snippets of it, like little mini breakthroughs. But I just wonder, because, you know, I look at some of my favorite artists out there today creating art, and I'm looking at their work and I'm going, 10 years ago, that work was really weak. It wasn't strong. They were young. They were, you know, and then all of a sudden there's this moment where you're like, how in the world did Ai Weiwei go from that to that? How in the world did Rashid Johnson go from there to there, right? And it's, for some people, it's place and network, right? And they get a moment that happens.
Sure.
For others, it's head down, just work, and then there's just massive, they have this breakthrough, you know, and things happen. I'm confusing 2 points. I shouldn't have gone there with the network and stuff, because that's more career breakthrough than the work breakthrough. But for me, I'm trying to make it in my head to be thinking about more, because that also makes me work a little bit longer sometimes and put in a little bit more. Or we all do this. I know you all probably do it out there too. You start to get low on materials and you want to conserve a little bit, or you're like, oh, if I ruin this canvas right now, I'm not gonna be able to buy canvas for a little while longer or whatever. So because I'm not really pushing my work right now, I'm not selling work right now, because I'm in this holding. So for me, it's like, I don't really want to go spend more money on more material. So let's make sure these canvases work out. But if I have breakthroughs keep, just ruin it, just push through it, just paint over it. Like,
and it's what I'm hearing is it's the belief that the breakthroughs will come. That keeps you from falling in the trap of just sort of reverting back.
Playing it safe. I don't want to play it safe. That's really been one of my mantras. I don't want to play it safe. I want to take these risks. I want to explore. And if you're exploring, you're not playing it safe.
Well, it's funny you say that. I don't know when I sort of made this decision, but I made a very distinct choice at one point that I've stuck with, which is I'm always going to prioritize pushing the work forward over potentially ruining what's in front of me. And realizing that ruining what's in front of me may be what's required to actually push the work forward, you know? And that kind of goes back to that whole idea of, you know, nothing is precious. I mean, a lot of things are the process is precious, the practice is precious, but what this piece in front of me, if I treat it like, oh, I don't want to ruin it, the fear and the reservation, and that just causes me to pull back. And play scared and play safe. And
your best work's not going to come out of that. So there's a curator, Roya Sachs, and she has a quote that says, take risks, experiment, and always stay out of your comfort zone. It will take you places. I think that take you places is a combo of take you places with your work, but take you places in the art world. The artists who are willing to be risky and stay out of that comfort zone and screw a whole lot of stuff up, and they're on my bookshelf. they have had major breakthroughs
Yeah.
because they're not playing to a trend. They're not playing to what just came before last year. What they're like, I mean, Rashid's show at the Guggenheim, that is not a traditional art show.
No.
There's a lot of different risky things happening in all of the work, from paintings to sculptures to natural plant life elements and things, right? Like,
Yeah.
that is not playing it safe.
Right.
Took him places in his work, because I can guarantee going with all, and I remember his first natural like plant installations and things. They were smaller, they were square, almost like little room type things and stuff, that led him to now these major, major installations. And it's like, it took him places in his work that affected the paintings, that affected the sculptures, that affected every little thing he had his hands on.
Yeah.
Took him places in the work, and then it took him places in the art world.
Right.
Not playing it safe.
Yeah. But it started with the work.
Start with the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been so far out of my comfort zone
Yeah.
with things that I'm doing, trying to play with fibers and doing all these different things, right? And that it's so far out of it feels really weird.
Yeah.
It feels really, really awkward.
Yeah.
And I keep going. I keep telling myself, just keep going.
That to me is the benefit of making decisions from a place of intention and then sticking with those choices. For example, I made a choice, and really I was wrestling with it, and we were talking about it, when we were together in Montana. How long ago was that? A month and a half ago?
Yeah, I think so.
And plane rides are perfect for this, by the way.
Oh, always.
I have a rule. I do not watch movies on plane. Like, planes are for work, because there's something about my...
Yeah, I ride a
like
ton.
I can just boom,
Yep.
just get there. There's nowhere for me to go. There's very little for me to be distracted by. And so, I wrote after some journaling that I had done on that retreat, and I just said, I'm all in on sculpture. This is all I'm doing, for this period of time. And boy, I mean, the number of logistical challenges around, okay, well, working three-dimensionally, how am I going to figure out how to, I mean, just basic things that
Yeah.
even just a month later, I now have dialed in. But as I was just getting started, how do I hold this up and figure out how it's going to interact with the other
Yeah.
elements, and going through different iterations of, okay, is it wood? Is it screw? Is it glue? Is it resin? Is it, how do I even just get these to stand upright so that they can, interact with one another? But it's all of those things that are required. And if I hadn't made that decision on the front end, I'm fairly certain that I would have probably defaulted to what I was more comfortable with. I was like, okay,
Right.
all right, I know how this exists on a wall. This is in my wheelhouse. I know how to, what to do,
Yeah.
with this. You were talking about alchemy earlier, and that's another thing. This is kind of more process oriented, but I was just really going and thinking about one of the things from our Leonardo Drew conversation where he talked about cannibalizing, from existing elements. And I've really been reflecting on that whole idea of, the work sort of, feeding on itself and off of itself. As I've been thinking about different things, especially from a three-dimensional, perspective, this idea of cyclical cannibalization, so this would be just my version of applied, alchemy. So one thing I realized, this is one of those just aha moments. I was like, okay, anything can become, I can cast anything into metal. Not actual alchemy. I'm not turning something.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But and so really dialing my process with and understanding how to use petrobond sand, right, for sand casting. But realizing, okay, I can turn metal into metal. I can turn resin into metal. I can turn wood into metal. I can turn coroplast, all of it, and then really dialing in my process for that. The other part the other element that I've been working with a lot lately is deep cast resin. I just call it ice. It looks like ice. That's the name of the product. So I just call it ice. But anything can become ice. So that's more figuring out, all right, how do I make silicone molds? How do I make these molds? But realizing that I can then take elements and repurpose them, rarely in their exact form, but portions
Yeah.
of it, But that was just such a big just lightning bolt moment for me, which is pretty obvious when I say it out loud, you think about it. But then taking it from the idea to the tactical, all right, how do I do this? Okay, what do I need to do in terms of my setup? what spaces do I need to be able
Right.
to
do those
all the
things.
above. Yeah.
So with a major commitment to shifting, we're both kind of in this moment currently in different ways, but as you're making this shift to currently just focusing on sculpture, learning, exploring,
Yeah.
taking all your materials, all the different things that you just talked about, from your ice to your Petrobond,
Yeah.
to all the different things you're playing with, turning into combining, forming, casting, not casting, right? What is your mindset? Because I kind of shared mine already. How has your mindset been as far as like, when will I know I'm ready? When will I know I have something? When will I get to the point where I'm like, now I really know where to go?
Yeah.
Has there been a fear there at all?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that.
I mean, I've just started. I completed my first couple sculptures. We talked last episode about self-imposed deadlines. I had one, whatever, episode or two ago, and I set one before I came down here. I want to have 3 done. I got 2 of the 3 complete. But even just yesterday, before I hopped on a plane, yesterday was my photo day to take photos and take some videos of these, and it's a very vulnerable feeling to even for me to send them to you, and then have you not reply to that text, and just imagine that you think they're shit. And
Yeah.
but I mean so there's a vulnerability there, and I think it comes down to confidence in, do I like this? I mean, at the end of the day, we're all making work for ourselves first and foremost, right? I mean, from our last episode, Arlene talked about that. Right? Actually,
Yeah.
It wasn't one of the quotes that we shared. It was actually from that
In the
Freeze Masters podcast interview, where she said, I mean, ultimately, I'm paraphrasing here, of course, but ultimately, as artists, we're making work for ourselves. And we don't know what's going to see the light of day, or if anyone else is going to lay eyes on it, or if they do, what they're going to say about it. And so just kind of using that as a governing principle for myself, because it is very emotional. It's very emotional to, wonder, like, is this garbage? Like, am I on to something, or am I on something?
Yeah.
What I mean? Like, is this a breakthrough, or is this just a necessary step to get to a point where, am I close? Am I, where am I at on the map? Is a very real, just question that comes to mind. So it comes back to just that belief of, all right, so for these first couple anyway, I was like, I like these. I like having them around me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They say to me what I was trying to say through the work. And that's enough for now.
Yep.
Whether anything happens with them, and it's taken me a while to get to that place. I know, earlier on for me, for sure, I was almost completely dependent on external, feedback and validation to say, like, oh, that's good. Okay, cool. This is good.
Yeah.
Data points from all over, other people, other opinions. Oh, okay. All right, good. Now, no, it's good. It's good. I like this. I like where it's going. And also, just back to your idea of just the belief of, like, this is just a step. There's more coming. This is just a necessary step to get to, what's coming next. And I'm so fired up about what's coming next.
I want every artist that's listening right now to just go write this down when you get home, or if you pull the car over, if you're driving, or if you're in the studio, just write this down. The work is taking me somewhere.
Yeah.
I want you all to be so confident that even in the work that you're hating right now is taking you somewhere. Just know that. I know we all are doubting so many things in the studio that we're doing every day.
Yep.
Every day. And for the younger artists out there, and younger not in age, but in artwork, that don't have a gallery, or you're not selling workers, just don't worry about that stuff. Just keep working on the work, and know the work is taking you somewhere.
Yep.
If you're dedicated and you're working and you're creating, the work is going to get somewhere. It will get there. And this is...
Let me add something.
Yeah.
Don't take our word for it. Go to the source.
Yeah.
go to every, I mean, Ty's got an amazing collection of biographies, autobiographies. Go to the source. I mean, go to the greats, and just like, you will not find a single, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't think you've read a single story
I haven't read any yet.
where there's at least one, if not multiple examples of those, what am I doing, moments, or those Genesis pieces that maybe are or are not what we think they're going to be, that ultimately become, what they are ultimately known for.
Yep.
Yeah.
It takes time. And I know I want to pose this as a question. Let me see if I want to read this quote first and then pose the question. Yeah, I want to read this quote first because it talks about everything you just said. This is from the artist Tally Lennox. Don't rush to get your work out. It takes time to achieve quality and find your truth. Welcome in patience and perseverance over the seduction of immediate gratification.
Yeah.
And my question that I want to ask, and I'm asking myself this currently, right now, as the art world is changing, which it's always going to change, it's an ever evolving amoeba, and with so much more online accessibility, acceptance, the way that Instagram has exploded as an artist platform, where we know there's a brand new generation of art lovers and collectors that see Instagram as their gallery, as their go-to guide to find new artists and curators. The art world is doing the same. They're going to Instagram. So I've been asking this question lately, like, releasing work today with Instagram and social media pressure looks totally different than it did 10 years ago. How long should we wait to release our work? Should we just share it in the process? Or should we hold back and wait until we're fully confident and ready? Now, years ago, I don't have an answer. I think this is a great conversation. Years ago, the artist would wait, build up, release the work to their gallerists, to their curators, to their dealers, and go, here's 25 paintings from this body of work. Maybe it's a show, maybe they're whatever selling that body of work. And it was like, here it all is. It wasn't like, here's one painting, here's a second painting. 2 months later, it was like, here's it all. The pressure for us today is, I need the algorithm to keep finding me because that's where I'm finding my audience outside of who already follows me. Curators, gallerists may discover me, so should I share? But if you're not fully confident in your work, you shouldn't really share it, because that immediate gratification could stall what's coming down the road. If you get,
or lack thereof,
right, will make you feel like you're not on the right track. So I've really just been kind of talking to myself about, like, things have changed. Things are changing and evolving. So there are going to be things that are going to be different and more accepted and fine. Whatever. I still think, for me, I don't want to really, really show until I'm absolutely confident in the work, in the idea. Now, I know all of my work I'm not going to be happy with. That doesn't mean I didn't fully execute the idea in it. Right? Because I have pieces I love that nobody else likes. I have pieces that I don't like as much that people absolutely love. But if I really feel like I found my truth in that work and it was really true to the idea, if there were some weaker elements in it that I didn't really like, but yet it got the right court of approval from my artist peers, from my artist network, then I might be missing something, but it's in the right.
Well, I think what you're talking about, I mean, the timing is everything. So what you're describing is the pieces that you're talking about that you're confident in enough that it's true to you and the work, but that you don't love as much as, these over here, let's say. You're still really, because who are you to, we talk about it all the time, right? Once it's out in the world, it's not ours anymore. And who are you to rob somebody, of the experience of really enjoying something that you maybe don't love as much, or maybe it's not the first thing that you would hang over the mantle in your own home. But I think the timing really, that's really what it comes down to. And I know that's the essence of your question, originally anyway, but it's like, I think it's worth noting that as far as whatever posting things or sharing things publicly is concerned, that when we appear to be most productive, it's actually, I think in my case and yours as well, it's months.
Yeah.
It's a long time after
Right.
the work
Yeah.
itself was actually made, you know. And so to your question, like I think a lot about, I've just made peace with, listen, I mean, my presence, you know, online or how visible I'm going to be with sharing what I'm doing is just, it's going to be cyclical, and just being okay with that, right? Like there was a time when I was playing that game of posting every day, and I think that that was mostly unhealthy. The one utility of that for me was that it definitely kept me productive.
Yeah.
So that there, but again, that was a season for me that has since passed, and I now I no longer feel like I work for fucking Instagram.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I have something that I'm excited to share that's worth sharing, rock and roll.
Yeah.
And until it's ready, it's not ready. The other thing, I mean, not to make this an Instagram conversation, but the other part
No,
of it too is,
I want to a little bit though,
Okay.
because I know I know for artists listening,
yeah.
that's a big thing that's in all of our heads.
So here's what I'll share. I mean, and I think this is true for you as well. I mean, the work that I'm confident in, I'm gonna post that shit, you know, 2, 3, 4 times
Yeah.
over the course of a year.
Right. Yeah.
Realizing that, especially with the way the algorithm behaves now,
Not everybody's seeing it.
there's a really good chance that only a small percent of people who would actually enjoy seeing it
See it. Yeah.
actually see it, right? And so it's always, there's no better test. I mean, we've actually done this with reposting episodes that were recorded a couple years ago, and people that we know well,
Yeah.
who listen to, you know, I think most or if not every episode, are like, hey, that new episode was great. And we're
Yes.
like, I think you probably actually heard
You already
this,
listened to it a year ago. Yeah.
which may not say much for us. The redundancy of our topic matter, but
We're only excited in the
Hey.
moment.
you know, so just, I mean, I think that's part of it. I mean, if there's, because that, you know, it's already done, you know, you already feel good about it, and it's just something to whatever, stay somewhat visible, you know. But again, like I think it's all, who are you working for? You know,
Yeah.
what are we working for? You know, it's a tool, it's a very useful tool when it's leveraged properly. But I mean, for me anyway, if I'm thinking about the work through the lens of how's this gonna perform, or you know, whatever, I've already lost.
Already lost. Well, and for all you artists out there, your Instagram page, unless you're exploding and you're in galleries, and like, it should be a journal.
Yeah.
It should be a visual journal, should be your approach. The Delphian Gallery book has fantastic advice on that. And I would say make it a visual journal.
Yeah.
You don't always, and I'm not showing finished pieces right now, but I'm giving hints.
Yeah.
Like I'm updating whoever's watching, which I know there are art world people watching.
Yeah.
May not be following me, but I know they're watching because they've made comments or I've seen them like something.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure that I'm still keeping them updated on progress. So it may be close up, little shots of yarn and fiber on things. It may be, you know, a wide shot of me in the studio, but you need to be showing that you're working,
Right.
and that your work is moving, it's growing, you're creating constantly. And I'm not saying post every day. You can if you want, but that gets exhausting. You and I have both been IG exhausted.
Yep.
You know, and honestly, I have fear too, because I know people are going to Instagram, and I know I don't want to post like I used to. I don't want to spend the time anymore. I'm kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
But it is my visual journal. I need to be updating. I've made great friends from Instagram and mentees and artists that I work with and network with around the globe. So I would say, don't put all your stock into it as you need to be spending a ton of time, but keep it updated regularly. Talk about your work and your progress and things that you're doing and trying. And if you don't want to show your work, just show glimpses of you in the studio working.
Yeah.
And then when you're confident, now put that painting up, now put that sculpture up or that drawing or that piece up, and then go back to the visual journal and then put a piece up.
I've been using, this really isn't like tactical or probably even smart, but I've just been using stories as my sort of ongoing journal.
Yes.
I'll post
Yeah.
like maybe
Yep.
one story a day,
Yeah.
you know, if that. But just one little clip,
Yeah.
you know, it's not this edited, you know, whatever. And I do actually enjoy doing like the start to finish, you know, that's something that I enjoy. And those actually do tend to, you know, get more eyeballs as well. But yeah, just a little clip of like, here's what I was up to today, you know. And it's actually, I find it to be healthy for me as well. I did this on the plane, just looking back through, you know, all the random clips that I've collected and being like, oh yeah, it actually, for
Yep.
me, it is fulfilling, and it's a good reminder. Like, you know, I have a tendency to be very hard on myself, and that's another benefit of this sort of like, you know, brain, you know, head heart dump, you know, that I do, you know, on the drive home. To say, oh, yeah, actually, as I kind of just go through like the mental list of like, okay, yeah, we did this, we did that, we did that. And I say we because obviously my creative director Leo is
Yeah.
an
Oh yeah.
integral part of you know, of everything, and I can account for all of my various personalities that I'm taking on in the studio as well. But it's just nice to be able to say, just to look back through the photos of videos, say, oh yeah, I forgot about those 2 days that I totally got, you know, detoured
Yep.
in my mind.
Right.
And that's where I get stuck. Actually, it's good that I'm thinking about this now. That's where I get stuck is, so this is will be the downside of having
You get
planned
too
for the day.
sidetracked.
I get too, well, no, I get too focused on this is what I'm trying to accomplish
that you may
today.
miss.
Right. So back to that explore, exploit, like, okay, I'm going to exploit whatever. I'm going to execute, let's say, exploit's kind of a loaded word, but I'm going to execute on these ideas and on this plan with intention. And then something sparks and I'm like, all right, I gotta do this. I gotta do it right now while it's fresh.
Yeah.
And so the day ends, I look back at my plan going into the day. I did one of the 7 things that I had on my list. But when I go back to those photos and videos, just little things that I'm mostly just capturing for myself, just to log, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yep, I didn't push these pieces forward that I was hoping to get done by X date,
Yeah.
whatever. But that's valuable. That's a valuable detour that will pay dividends in the future. And I think for me, one thing that's really reinforced that belief that the breakthrough is coming is by going back, you know, and seeing like, oh,
Yes.
wait, this is,
Yep.
I use an element in a sculpture recently, and not to whatever go into the gory details of my process, but I make a lot of different, I just call them elements or, you know, artifacts, sometimes with an intention about what they're going to be used for. But I'll usually make, you know, whatever, 7 versions of something that I'm going to use one of for this particular piece, and the rest just get stored in the ever-growing library of you know, potential players that can get a role in a future, you know, play, right? And so for me to circle back and realize, oh, this is something that's been waiting for this is a great actor who's been waiting for their chance to really shine, and I now have the perfect part for them in this play that wasn't even written,
Yeah.
right, when they were first made.
I think I just came up with the definition for you as an artist.
Great. I'm ready.
I think you're an abstract archaeologist.
I like that.
Like, because you're working in abstracts,
Yeah.
but I do really see you as an archaeologist, alchemist archaeologist, like a mix, right? Because you're constantly uncovering and basically digging up things, right? So like creating your artifacts. But then I'll see you have them all out on the table the way an archaeologist would literally sift through the sand and pull all the pieces up to create the skeleton for the dinosaur bones they found or whatever it is, right? And then you're thinking through how to piece all that together to take what was buried, discarded, whatever, and then piece it together into something that goes into a space.
I think about
right the way an archaeologist would piece it together and then take it to the Smithsonian or Natural Science Museum, whatever. So I don't know, it just popped in my head.
I like that a lot. I think about excavating,
Yeah.
you know, discovering things that
I think that's in your artist statement, excavation.
It is, yeah. But you know, it's funny. It is a lot like that, where it's like, okay, we've got this femur bone, and the moment when the bone that, whatever it's at, okay.
Yeah.
it's like when I find when I can
fit.
look at, because I absolutely do that. Actually, I haven't really shared a lot of studio shots, but right now the studio is
Table
nothing
full of-
but tables and tables
all the
and all my little, and I've actually back to my systematic approach. This is where I got to, set aside days, sometimes weeks, into like, all right, I got all of these things laying around. How do I sort them out, sort of categorize them? And I've got a bunch of different slides in a shelving system, and I pull a slide. I'm like, ooh, what? I bet that would, and set them next to each other and just kind of see how they're going to. But the excitement, the charge that I get when two completely disparate elements just
work together
like they were made for each other.
Yeah.
We talk about the addictive nature of this process. That's what I'm hooked on, probably more than anything.
Yeah. I had an addictive moment the other day, and then I just went crazy on like multiple pieces with that moment of something, right? And I was like, I don't care if these don't work in any of these.
Yeah.
It worked in these two, so I need to keep rolling and see how it fits. And then on a couple, I'm like, no, that's not working at all. It worked for those, it's not working for anything else.
There's something to be said for that, though. It's the whole, like, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I got this brand new hammer. That's let me just start bang, 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 bang. Hey, and if it works 10% of the time, then it works. Good times. But
there's a quote by most people know Simon Dupury, the auctioneer, if you're in the art world or around it, or you've seen him in every art documentary in the last 30 years, I don't know, 40. But he says, Instagram will have the same impact on the art market as YouTube had on the music industry. The online market is here to stay. I'm assuming that was probably 10 years ago. And I keep reading quotes like that from art world people, so that makes me always ask myself, because we want to be ahead of things as artists.
Right.
We don't want to get behind things as artists. We want to stay on top of and kind of ahead of where things are going, especially for us that aren't in New York, aren't in LA, Berlin, major art cities around the world. If you're not in that city around everything, we're all kind of playing catch up or trying to get to. So I think it was Kenny Schachter that said, always read. That's how I stay on top and ahead of things. I'm always reading. And I think he says I'm reading 7 books at a time constantly. And then he said, read artjournal.com, because it's like an update. But that's how he stays ahead and stays on, Instagram. Okay, we need to go here, right? I did that years ago. It's like, this is right when Instagram started, right? I've talked about it on the podcast before. I watched Heather Day explode from Instagram. I was like, I'm copying everything she's doing with what she's doing on her platform. I got to go. So it's like reading, studying, staying ahead so that you kind of can go, I don't have to play catch up. So it's like when you read a big art auctioneer saying Instagram will be what YouTube did for the music industry, which is taking an independent musician in their room with a guitar and turning them into an international superstar. He's saying it is giving the artist the ability to have a major platform. 20 years ago, there was no major platform if you weren't in New York or LA or Chicago or Miami as an artist and in the scene getting your work in front of people. It was, you were moving to one of those places or kind of staying. So, but it's giving that ability. If you do it well and you learn and you do it, you can have an impact that could get you somewhere.
Well, we've removed the middleman. Which is great if you're doing the work yourself. Right. I mean, if you're not, so the point is, if you're not putting it out there, then you are still dependent upon the, antiquated model of just hoping that somebody magically discovers you and puts you on.
It's a piece of all of it, but it's a great piece.
Your YouTube, that YouTube reference, it's interesting. I don't know why that just popped to mind, but that OK Go video. Right, from it's probably 15 years ago now, something like that. But where it was incredibly creative with the treadmills. And they did it all themselves, right? Just DIY, and it was not just about the music, but the presentation of what they were doing.
Yeah.
It was so unique and so fresh that they became undeniable and got, I don't know their whole, whatever backstory, but I'm sure they got a lot more opportunity and way more visibility because they put it out first.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just a couple of people in a studio with a camera and a microphone, just putting it out there and seeing what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not dependent on anybody to have discovered us and taken us into a radio station and given us, a 90-minute slot, or no, we're just doing it and whatever.
Well, and
it's kind of happening.
It's the Steve Martin quote.
Yeah.
Be so good that the crowd can't ignore you.
Right.
Be so good that they find you. So we have that ability today, which didn't exist for history, of an audience finding you rather than you always having to go to an audience.
Right.
And that's magical. It really is an incredible thing, but it takes time and it takes effort, and that's the hard part too.
And we can land the plane here. This is one of my least favorite subjects, but I know it's relevant. I know it's important time on Instagram. But there is there's a, I don't want to say learning curve. There's a comfort curve, I would call it, to just being. We were talking to Mandy, your wife, last night about with her business.
Yeah, because she hates social media and
right.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, is there a utility to this, for you and what you're trying to accomplish? And if there is, all right, well, get on wherever you're at, dear artist friend, on the comfortability curve with putting things out there. There is, I mean, it took me a long time, and I'm generally kind of okay with that, in generally speaking, but especially when it came to early work, where I was like, oh, this might suck. Who knows? Maybe Jerry's gonna, include you in a post, and before your works, it probably even should have been shared, and there we go. But it does speak to just, getting more comfortable. And in my mind, that only really comes from just doing it in repetition.
Yeah.
You're not going to think your way into, consistent action.
Yeah, it's making it part of your routine, which is what I did in the beginning, where I would just set up my tripod with my phone in the corner, back of the studio, hit record and just let it run. Yeah. Right. And then of course there's days where I'd forget and I'd be like, no, I just missed 2 days because I forgot. I'd set my phone up, but I didn't hit record because I got into it. But then over time, it became so much part of routine that I just walk in, set it up, hit record, didn't even think about it. Yeah. And then it became part of routine where it's like, ooh, I want to produce this a little bit more rather than just the one wide shot. So then every layer, I would move my tripod to a different location in the studio to capture different angles of layers. And then that became routine without even thinking. I'd go to grab a new brush, move the tripod, go to grab, and then and I would spend quite a bit of time editing things. But then all of a sudden that became quick. Yeah. Now all those things I can just edit real quick. And then technology increased over the years to where you could do it all on your phone and edit it. I didn't have to go to my computer and, use Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro and things. Now I could just do it all on my phone. And then everybody wanted shorter content. So it made it easier to do short. So, but you can build that into your routine because you have to do your marketing. You have to advertise for yourself.
Especially before someone's doing it for you.
Yes, you have to do those things. So
and even after someone's doing it for you.
Yeah.
Because they're never going to care about promoting you
they're not going to care about you as much as you. Right. Yeah, and that's another great quote. I forget who said it. Laurie Anderson it was Julian Schnabel. You need to control every aspect of your work in the studio and as it goes. Now, once it's out, as it goes, because you're the only person that knows your work. Right. Nobody knows it better than you. Yep. So you have that ability to do that with your social media, at least. So bake those things into your routine so you can control that narrative before it's just the audiences. Yeah. You know where it's going in the gallery, how it should be lit, how it should be with the other pieces. You can work through those things with the curator. Don't just throw it out to the wolves and go do whatever you want with it. No, it needs to be lit this way. It needs to be, these are the things that need to happen to show your work in its best light. But control it now so that you really understand when you have that conversation with somebody later. Yep. Well, I hope that was engaging for everybody because I know I'm engaged.
It was fun for us.
It was fun for us.
Just like we make work for ourselves first and foremost.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this chat.
Well, and I actually had a new idea while we were talking. You said something, and I'm looking at my work while you were talking, and I went, oh.
Yeah.
And so I made a note of, okay, this,
Yeah.
and these things. And so that, I mean, that's always great, I think. I don't know, go hang out with an artist this week. Find an artist friend, go spend some time like we've been doing since you got here last night, just talking about work and things.
You want to share your address real quick?
Yeah, so come on. No, but I will. My buddy Jack is coming over. Jack Bauer is coming over next week to hang out and look at work. Local artist here in Waco who's got a great show up at Washington Gallery with Robbie Austin, another artist friend from Louisiana. So that'll be fun next week. But having a studio visit.
I will hold that thought. Come back to that. I will say this. Obviously, this will air long after I'm gone anyway. From here, hopefully not overall. But I will say I love having studio visits. I've been having more of those lately.
Yeah.
If you live in the Minneapolis area, or if you happen to be passing by, my studio is 8 minutes from the airport. Come on by. I'm always excited to hang out with people that want to look at art, talk about art.
Studio visits are great for a number of reasons. You're getting to one, you get your work out, and you kind of put it out for somebody to come look at. So you're seeing your work all together that you haven't really done that with in a while. You're getting to watch somebody look at your work, which if you have a show in a gallery, you're going to be watching a lot of people look at your work, and you have no idea what they're thinking. So for those of you who are very introverted, it's a great confidence builder. Even if the person doesn't like your work, you're used to somebody looking at it with you standing there next to them, which for some people is not a fun experience.
Right.
But if you want your work in the art world, you need to be ready for those experiences. So having people
Hold on, are you saying that it's not just going to be people who already love you and what you're doing?
Yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of people that...
I'm out.
Great advice here that I learned from another artist early on. Ask somebody that's in your studio to ask hard questions. That force you to talk about things with a hard question, because you're not going to have a lot of wonderful questions. It shows. I've literally had people ask horrible things. Where I'm like, did you really just fucking ask me that? I want to say that. Right, but I can't. Right. But so it's just a great experience. And
those are they're low stakes reps.
Absolutely.
Right? At studio visits. It's very different than at an opening or at a show where
you're already nervous and you're already kind of out of your comfort zone, and then the MFA student walks in and wants to show what their teacher's been teaching them, not what they know, and then boom, unfortunately I love to play games with those people. But anyways, invite somebody over. Do a studio visit, invite a couple people over, exchange studio visits. Hey, you want to come to my Zoom? If you want to, set up the camera and just do a Zoom visit with
great fun.
With somebody on Instagram that you became friends with in Portugal and you're in Michigan. I'm using Jacqueline and Barrett as examples. And do a virtual studio visit and hang out and talk about work. But that's it. Have fun. Go make some art.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Just Make Art Podcast. If you're just listening and you want to see Ty's amazing studio and what the two of us look like when we're having this conversation, check us out on YouTube, and join us for the next episode, which we may get a chance to record tomorrow.
Yeah, why not?
All right.
See ya.
Bye.